Throughout The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2, there are tons of amazing levels. From skyscrapers packed to the brim with different infected types, to tons of WLF soldiers spread throughout an abandoned town. But for me, personally, one level design stands above the rest, in terms of gameplay and ambiance. That being Abby's fight with the Rat King. The first thing about this level that I really enjoy is the premise for why it's taking place to begin with. Yara, who is one of Abby's new companions, and someone Abby feels a great deal of responsibility for, needs medical supplies in order to survive a procedure that will save her life. But since they didn't have any readily available, Abby has to take the long journey to the Lake Hill Seattle Hospital. Unfortunately, however, when she gets there, she's informed that all the ready available supplies have been moved out of the hospital, and all that's left is what's on the ground floor. A ground floor that hasn't been cleared due to the fact that no one's dared to go down there. You see, Lake Hill Hospital was ground zero for the infection. When the first groups of people got bit, the hospital was where they went. But the timeline here is very important. This hospital and the people who we find in the ground floor were there before the initial outbreak day. The day before, to be exact. And at this point, the government was still trying to keep everything under wraps, so the doctors weren't actually informed as to what was going on or how to treat the patients. In fact, no one really did. And unfortunately for these victims, in response to the outbreak, the doctors and the entire hospital abandoned the ground floor, patients and all, locked the doors behind them, and never looked back. Which brings us to the present day, where Abby begins her descent to the ground floor in search of supplies. When the mission begins, she is immediately warned by Nora that there are things down there that no one has seen for 25 years. And the moment Abby begins her descent, we get to see these horrors slowly unravel. At first, Abby spots some soldiers that died in a shootout for their lives. Some killed by infected, some killed by other humans, and some who took their own lives rather than turn into the monsters they were fighting against. Throughout the mission, we see a handful of notes from these soldiers. Some of them actually seem to have a chronological order to them in which they detail how the outbreak slowly overpowered them. These notes bring a level of tangible realism that really adds a level of horror to the experience. Seeing the way these people died and feeling their emotions on the paper is truly gut-wrenching. After reading these, Abby goes deeper into the hospital, making her way towards the trauma center. And the second you enter this portion of the hospital, everything becomes far more terrifying. The rooms get smaller, the smog gets darker. You can hear infected in rooms all around you, but you can't see them. There is blood everywhere, with the remains of what once were people melting into the walls. You can feel and almost smell the years in which this place has sat here, untouched and rotting. And as you make your way through the floor and find yourself at the door to the trauma center, you hear this terrifying growl. And by the way, during my first playthrough, I decided to fight the Rat King at 3 a.m., and this growl genuinely shook me to my core. And as you inch through the trauma center, you get to see and read the tragic notes left by the patients who were left down here to rot. It's a truly heartbreaking experience. And when you finally get the power on, what should ease your tension actually makes it worse, when you realize that the power was turned off in order to keep whatever was in that room locked up. And with the lights on, you get a closer look at what really happened down here. There is this massive, gross mass on the wall that almost seems like a birth canal for something. And when you finally get to the ambulance in the garage and grab the supplies for Yara, the Rat King appears. It's this massive blob of infection, a fusion of multiple infected creating this rat-like monster. Now for those of you who don't know, the reason it's called the Rat King is because it's based off of a real-life thing. A Rat King in our world is a rare phenomenon where multiple rats' tails become entangled, forming a mass of rodents, mainly caused when a large amount of rats are enclosed in a small dark space. And to think that this horrific event actually happened to human beings is heartbreaking. Then the fight begins, and this thing is tough. The Rat King feels closer to a Souls boss than a bloater, with it running through walls, eating up all your supplies, and killing you on impact if it gets anywhere near you. The fight is intense and genuinely terrifying, with even the best of players giving it the respect it deserves. And when you finally beat it, after using all of your ammo, the sense of relief you feel when you see that bright sky is magical. All in all, this is my personal favorite level in the Last of Us franchise. And even though it may not be the longest level in the franchise, it is without a doubt the scariest. I just want to say, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below not only what you think about my video, but what you think about the Rat King. Also, would you like to see more videos analyzing level designs in The Last of Us? If so, let me know. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Peace.